time for the hot topic of the hour. We are just 9 days out from early voting beginning. And special counsel Jack Smith has indicted former President Donald Trump again in his dropped January 6th case. This new indictment was revised after the Supreme Court's immunity ruling. The new indictment charges Trump with 4 felony counts of conspiracy and removes allegations against Justice Department officials. Trump called for the case to be dropped immediately. Jonathan Fahey, I want to get your take on this. I mean, we're so close to an election, and here you have Jack Smith coming out again with another indictment.
Yeah, it's hard for them to say this is not political because there's no reason they couldn't have stayed this for 60 days and then indicted then, because this case isn't getting tried anytime soon. And the other thing, I think what he did here, a couple things. One, they sought a new indictment, so there couldn't be a motion to dismiss based on being indicted on immunized conduct. So they wanted sort of a clean indictment with a new grand jury. But essentially, he has the same charges and the same problems. And this immunity question is not going away with this new indictment. They're going to have to basically, you know, with the immunity law, the Supreme Court has always said this has to get decided earliest in the proceedings. So meaning that President Trump will have a chance to appeal this to higher courts before it gets to trial if he loses his motion to dismiss or official conduct is not ferreted out. So this case isn't going to trial anytime soon. Merrick Garland missed an opportunity to show his DOJ is not political. Every time they have that choice, they double down on politics. They could have, again, waited 60 days and let the election go and then did what they wanted to do.
So what do you think this is about then? I mean, if they know that this case is not getting tried anytime soon, they know that we've got an election in 70 days, early voting begins in 9 days in some states. I mean, to do it now, what's the point? Just to sort of muddy up Trump again?
Other than politics, I don't know what the point is. They could have easily moved to stay the proceedings till after the election.
When you say other than politics, what do you mean? So
meaning other than a political agenda to get Trump, I don't see what the point is, because they're not under any clock to be forced to re-indict this case anytime soon. They could have stayed the speedy trial clock. They could have done multiple things. So there is no reason to do this now. Particularly, you're not about, if the case was going to go to trial or something like that, okay, but this is not going to trial anytime soon. They're basically laying down this indictment. They're going to have a hearing, and then this thing will get kicked until probably next year. All
right, let me bring in constitutional attorney and Supreme Court bar member Mark Smith. Get your take, Mark. Good to see you this morning. Thanks for being here. What do you make of Jack Smith's new indictment against President Trump?
Well, in one sense, Maria, it's sort of shocking, but on the other hand, it's not, because this is clearly an ongoing effort by the Kamala Harris, Joe Biden administration's Department of Justice to engage in lawfare against President Trump. I totally agree that this is a case that's not going to get tried anywhere near the November election. So why are you wasting time dealing with this? Keep in mind that think about the millions of dollars, Maria, that are being spent on this prosecution of Donald Trump that could be better allocated to actually keeping violent street thugs off our streets. So it's really quite shocking. And again, yeah, we know what this is all about. This is about getting Trump, because they certainly could have delayed this. They could have stayed this case. Everyone would agree to see, look, because remember, if Donald Trump is elected, he takes over the Department of Justice and this becomes moot. So why are you wasting time in a case that could be moot literally in 90 days?
What do you think? Tiana, jump in here.
President Trump has made the argument that even though Election Day officially is in 69 days, early voting starts in 9 days, because we now have these 60-day election seasons. But beyond the explicit statute that these charges have to be filed more than 60 days before Election Day itself, DOJ manual instructs its agents that it does not even want to have the appearance of trying to influence the outcome of an election. Is there any way that this doesn't flagrantly violate that guidance?
Well, certainly, if you think about it, it gets even worse than that, because here you have, remember, a federal judge has already found that Jack Smith lacks the legal authority to do anything he's doing here, right? Judge Cannon found that in Florida. So here, not only do you have a question of timing, like why is Jack Smith doing what he's doing now, literally on the eve of an election? It's particularly egregious when there's a question as to whether or not he has legal authority to do any of this. So yeah, the right answer here for any objective person, in my view, is to have delayed this and not to act it. But the fact that he brought the superseding indictment so close to an election. Now, specifically, the Department of Justice does have an argument that says, well, we don't bring new cases within 60 days of an election day. This is not a new case. This is an existing case, but we understand that when you bring a superseding indictment, it really is a new case because Donald Trump gets to make all of his arguments as a criminal defendant that he previously made. It really goes back to square one based on the superseding indictment. So in one sense, it really is a brand new case.
So what happens now, Mark? Where does this go?
Well, practically speaking, there's going to be a conference in front of the judge, and they're going to discuss what happens next. They will set scheduling for a briefing, any hearings, and they will put together a schedule for the lawyers to follow. But again, this is going to bump up immediately into early day voting and into election day. So as to what the judge decides, again, the judge has the authority, if she wants to say, why don't we just put a pause on this? As to whether or not this judge is going to do that, I have my doubts, because it seems to me from all objective appearances, she's not been particularly favorable to Donald Trump in any respect. And she seems like she wants to rush this case forward, which, of course, is the absolute opposite thing that she should be doing as a fair and honest judge. In my opinion, she should be putting this on pause, let the Americans speak, and then deal with this legal issue, if there is a legal issue, in 90 days.
Yeah, but that's not what's happening right now. So, you know, you wonder if this whole thing is just for theater, to put more, you know, negative news out there about President Trump to try to muddy up his name going into the election. Is that what this is all about?
Yeah, I think so, right? Because if you're Kamala Harris, the last thing you want to be doing is talking about your record. You don't want to talk about the last 3.5 years and all the bad things that have occurred in this country because of the Harris-Biden administration. Instead, you want to make this a debate about personalities and try to say that Donald Trump's personality, he's not a good guy, he's a bad guy, all this sort of thing. And of course, this lawfare against him with the Department of Justice, in my view, contributes to that narrative. It takes the public's eye off the ball of what is good for America and public policy considerations by focusing again on Donald Trump's personality, and that is where the Democrats think they have an advantage.
Yeah, all right, Mark, great to see you this morning. Thank you, sir.